Hello Capstone class, my name is Ryan, and today we'll be talking about The Common Thread, the book that no one else will ever be reading for a future book ever because it's complete and total shit. The Common Thread is a book by Gladstone. And Gladstone went through and interviewed all these different celebrities, over 50 different celebrities, to talk to them about what it was that made them successful in their given careers and what they considered to be traits that they figured would make other people successful. So in that way, it's kind of a self-help book, it's kind of a success recipe book, it's a lot like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I'll get to a little bit later. He interviews all these different people, and he talks to them about what they think makes people successful, and... What do you mean it's business casual? I'm making a video, okay, I can try and make it business casual, but I don't know exactly how that's going to work. God damn it, why did I have to do laundry today? This isn't going to work, it's still wet. I can just get the goddamn buttons right. So, this book is a lot like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is a book by Stephen Covey, except for the fact that this book is a lot less effective. This book interviews all these different people and talks to them about all the different things that try to make them successful. The author takes too much time talking about his opinion of everybody else and how he met these people and how honored he is to work with them and what a great opportunity it was to show their art show or to do their posters or to do this and that and the other. And he actually has very little content in regards to each individual and actually how they contributed to their own success. For example, we'll look at the Sylvester Stallone chapter, which is up here towards the front, if I can find it. And Sylvester Stallone, by the way, is the one that he clearly is a huge fan of off the bat because he rants about him in the intro. In the final section, one of the last quotes in the entire book is by Sylvester Stallone, and he's the first chapter. But even with that being said, we see a total of, so this is the first page. Out of the entire first page, this quote, that there, in bold, that's as much as you get from Sylvester Stallone himself. The rest is author jargon of him talking about how he met Sylvester Stallone and what he thinks of Sylvester Stallone and how Sylvester Stallone is such a stand-up guy. And you'll notice on the next 2 pages, there's no actual content from Sylvester Stallone. And then we get a little more on the following pages in bold. And by then, we're down to the last 2 pages. We get a little more bold from Sylvester Stallone. And then that's the end of the chapter. Each chapter is only like 4 or 5 pages. It's very little content. It barely talks about the actual history of the celebrities within it and how they became successful. It's more like a small dialect. Dialect is not the word I'm looking for. That's the type of way that people speak in other languages. It's a small words. It's small snippets of each individual talking about their lives and what made them successful. It's small, brief descriptions of how they got to where they were and their backstories, and a whole lot of the author being like, it was such an honor and they were so respectable and I got to meet with them over dinner and I asked them these questions and it was great and they told me all about this, that, and the other, and it's not actually all that informative, which is concerning. The majority of this book is these types of interviews with all these different types of people until the very last chapter where he tries to put together a blueprint for success, which is the common thread of success that he deems from all these different interviews. And that chapter is by far the longest chapter at a rousing 30 pages and contains not only the 6 steps that he believes are the blueprint for success, but also like 12 other subsections because he says it's 6 steps, but it's not. Those 6 steps include discovering your why, establishing a winning mindset, conquering your fears, silencing your enemy within, / getting rid of negative self-talk, pursuing knowledge, and leveraging your opportunities. The problem being is that the Establish a Winning Mindset section has a total of 8 subsections, which is its own blueprint entirely on its own. You could have an entire book blueprint on just the positive mindset part, but instead he acts like it doesn't exist until you find it at the very end of the book and makes a whole nother list bigger than his other list, bigger than his actual blueprint of just the winning mindset part. I don't understand why he just didn't make the book about making a winning mindset rather than going through all these interviews that he doesn't really talk about and more just talks about how he met them. If he was going to interview 50 plus celebrities and then have him hawk his book for reviews that then he put on the back of the people inside the book. Why he didn't have them provide more content for the actual interviews rather than 3 or 4 blanket statement quotes is beyond me. Towards the end of the book, you actually get the content that you're looking for of the how did these people become successful and how can I do it and what can I do to make my life better. He makes it seem like a simple 6-step process and then he adds 8 just randomly along. By the way, step 2 has parts 1 through 5 and then there's also subsections A, B, and C, which seems a little redundant to me. Overall, the book wasn't bad. It was interesting to read through different stories from people like Kid Rock or Quentin Tarantino talking about how they got to where they were, what their goals were, what their mindset was, the different obstacles they had to face, although that information is very brief in each chapter. Honestly, this book reminds me a lot of something that you'd find in your grandpa's toilet. Not in the toilet, so to speak. One of those books that you find in your grandparents' house that's sitting by the toilet so that when you're going and you're doing your business, you can pick it up and read a chapter or two and then you put it back down. It's called a bathroom reader, is the technical term. You pick it up, you read a chapter while you're doing your business, you close the book, you put it down, you walk away, and you enjoy the rest of your day, which seems to be the most fitting use for this. Each chapter is only 5 to 6 pages. You get the small digestible material that you like, and you can sort through all. You don't have to deal with the patience that's required to read through 20 chapters of the author worshiping the ground that all of these other people walk on and bragging about how he met them. And you get all the information you want in regards to how these people got to where they were, and the very motivational postery quotes that you get, such as my favorite, that sounds like it's from a high school poster classroom. Quentin Tarantino says in his chapter, if I can find it, if all you really want to do is one thing, then you have to follow that dream wherever it leads you. That's definitely what I did. Because that's specific advice for anyone who's above the age of 12. Follow your dreams, kids. It gets you where you want to go, because that's what Quentin Tarantino did. There's a lot of blanket statements in this book, is the point. Overall, I feel like this book is interesting if you want a really, really, really general summary of how certain people got to where they are, and if you want a lot of really feel-good quotes to put up on your wall or write on your mirror in lipstick, or maybe you're one of those people who's got a little whiteboard that, you know, they do the little star points and bullet points and the list of activities to do today. Maybe you're one of those people. If that's you, this is your book. If you're one of those people who's actually trying to improve their personal situation, then you might want to go with a different book that accomplishes it a little more successfully, with a little clearer guidelines, with actual directions, with any sort of guidance as to where to go from where you are, rather than giving you a fortune cookie to take home to your mom and describe about your business plan. The Common Thread is by Jerry Gladstone and is published by Morgan Jane Publishing and is copywritten for 2016. Brand new book. Again, really?